Recently, there's been a trending topic in the industry, MCP from Anthropic. For people that don't know, MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. It's a new standard that simplifies artificial intelligence integrations by providing a secure, consistent way to connect AI agents with external tools and data sources. It was announced open source back in November 2024. The motivation behind this protocol was pretty clear. Let me quote the original announcement. As AI assistants gain mainstream adoption, the industry has invested heavily in model capabilities, achieving rapid advances in reasoning and quality. Yet, even the most sophisticated models are constrained by their isolation from data, trapped behind information silos and legacy systems. Every new data source requires its own custom implementation, making truly connected systems difficult to scale. MCP addresses this challenge. It provides a universal, open standard for connecting AI systems with data sources, replacing fragmented integrations with a single protocol. The result is a simpler, more reliable way to give AI system access to the data they need. With this in mind, let's take a few minutes to take a look at the details of MCP.
The best way to understand Model Context Protocol's details is by taking a look at their official documentation. So this is the official introduction from Anthropic. MCP is an open protocol that standardizes how applications provide context to LLMs, straightforward. And then there follows an example that I personally love very much. Think of MCP like a USB-C port for AI applications. Just as USB-C provides a standardized way to connect your devices to, say, your computer to your hard drive and mouse and keyboards, MCP provides a standardized way to connect AI models to different data sources and tools. About why MCP? We already know from the MCP open source announcements, the motivation behind MCP is Anthropic claims currently there's a really hard problem to solve that's preventing LLM to scale further. The problem is LLM has the constant need to connect with different local data sources, and they all have different interface, different protocol. And MCP is trying to unify them and provide an open standard for connecting AI systems with different data sources. That is great, assuming it's a real problem. So here are the benefits of using MCP. You will have access to a growing list of pre-built integrations that your LLM can directly plug into. This is great for starters. And then the flexibility to switch between LLM providers and vendors. This is also great for the ecosystem health. Best practices for securing data within your infrastructure. This is also really great benefit. So all those three benefits, they're really, really nice actually. Here is the general architecture. MCP follows a client-server architecture. The big box, yellow box, is your computer. And then on your computer, you probably have several hosts. Consider host as the LLM solution provider, for example, Cloud, ChatGPT, Gemini, or some IDE that contains a LLM functionality. And usually those hosts can contain MCP clients if they follows the MCP protocol. And then based on the MCP protocol, the MCP clients will be able to talk to different MCP servers. It can be a file system, it can be Gmail, Google Map, or it can be a SQL database in your computer. This local data source A can be your file system. This local data source B can be your local Postgres SQL. And then through web APIs, you will have access to all the remote services like Google Drive or Gmail or Google Map with users' permission, as I mentioned. This is basically what I said just now. MCP hosts programs like Cloud, IDEs, or AI tools that want to access data through MCP. Clients is to maintain the one-to-one connections with servers. Servers are lightweight programs that each expose specific capabilities through the MCP. Local data sources, it's your computer's files, databases, and services that MCP servers can securely access. Remote services are external systems available over the internet through APIs. So this is the high-level view of MCP. Let's take a look at their core architecture. So we already know MCP follows a client-server architecture, and we already know hosts and clients and servers. They have the core component The first one is protocol layer. The protocol layer handles message framing, request response linking, and high-level communication patterns. So this is the protocol class. You can see they're trying to handle the request and send notification and handle notification. So this is one interesting functionality that MCP provides. With MCP, your client and host, after the connection is connected, they will be able to send notification on either direction. So this is a very interesting functionality and a very useful one. And there are other classes like client and server that is obviously very important. And then there's the transport layer. It handles the actual communication between clients and servers. And of course, there's the standard in and out transport. And then there's the HTTP with SSE transport. The first one is ideal for local processes, like accessing your own databases or file system. The next one is ideal for accessing remote services. And the message types, they have request, result, error, notification. So this is all very standard and honestly very skeleton-like right now, which is great for starting. And then this is the connection lifecycle. We have initialization, the client initialize requests, and then the server accept and initialize response. And then there's the initialized notification, so client server can send notification to each other, and then the connection is ready for use. Either party can actually terminate the connection. Once it's terminated, you can no longer talk to each other. And then there's the error handling. As always, we have error codes. Engineers like error codes. Now we know the infrastructure for MCP. Let's take a look at how to use MCP in actual application layer. This is a tutorial for cloud desktop users to connect with your local file system to the LLM. So it can read from your computer's file system, write new files, move files, and even search files. Personally, I think this is a very useful feature. My download folder is so messy that I already give up organizing it, and this is going to be a killer application for people like me. So first it downloads the desktop app, and then you add the pre-built file system MCP server to Cloud for Desktop. So Anthropic already built many pre-built file system, and there are other collaborators also built pre-built MCP server. File system, of course, is one of the first in order to make this work. Just follow their instruction. This is very straightforward. The target user for this documentation should be developers. So I think this kind of details is expected. And then follow their instruction and then restart the cloud. And after you restart, there will be available MCP tools, create directory, get file info, list allowed directories, and you can try it out. And you can have an application and do something like take all images on desktop and move them to a new folder, or write a poem that can save it to my desktop, or what is the work-related files in my download folder. This is what I need. So I don't see anything very complex in this documentation. So it's a good sign. I think this is pretty easy to use, at least for the file system MCP server. With this example, I'm actually curious how many pre-built MCP server and MCP clients there already are. So let's take a look at example servers. We have the file system, Postgres, Google Drive, SQLite, many essential tools for developers. So the list is actually pretty long. Let's take a look at example clients. The list is longer. So I think they already have a pretty rich ecosystem at this point. It's still early, but I can already see an ecosystem built. Currently, as you can see, it's still very focused on coding, programming, which is what cloud is really good at. So that's expected. And with this developer ecosystem, I would expect there will be more LLM applications getting developed. And hopefully there will be more killer apps coming out of this. Now we know what is MCP and how MCP works. Let me talk about what do I think. First of all, I think Anthropic is doing a great thing to the industry. They're right that there is a problem of LLM accessing fragmented data sources. And by setting industry standards, and if it's adopted by enough players in the market, it will solve this problem. There are many successful cases by setting industry standards. For example, Apple set industry standards in consumer electronics by creating user and developer-friendly ecosystem. So this is a really smart move. The second smart move is by open sourcing it. OpenAI has also tried the same by function calling.
which does basically the identical thing with MCP. It didn't go as far as MCP currently, given there's already a pretty good ecosystem formed with MCP. And OpenAI already announced they will adapt MCP to their SDK. So what makes this difference is MCP open sourced it. To build an ecosystem, you need to make it simple, fair, and open. And ironically, OpenAI has open in its name, but it's not opening their ecosystem. There are other cases of open sourcing bringing success, like Meta's Llama, but I'm not saying open sourcing everything is the way to go. Apparently, big techs don't open source everything, and they're still dominating the market. But to jumpstart an ecosystem, you need to open it to your collaborators. So open sourcing in this case is a smart move. With those two smart moves and a pretty simple protocol skeleton, it already have formed a considerable ecosystem. It doesn't even require any technology moat. The biggest moat will always be your user base. So the most important thing is to start early, being open, do the right thing, and hopefully many players will adopt this protocol. This is definitely a positive contribution to the industry, and I hope it keeps growing so there will be more LLM applications in the market. But will this be a huge milestone to the industry? I'm not 100% convinced, to be honest. The problem statement of LLM's fragmented integration with data sources is true, but whether it's the biggest problem or even a big problem, that's a question mark. So what is the bottleneck of current AI agents adoption? What is stopping AI to be adopted widely like mobile phone or internet? Nobody knows the exact answer yet, and everyone is trying different stuff. But I think it's probably not an app store or a developer toolkit. There are other things like cost, capability, or even user habits. It's possible there could be no single bottleneck, instead it's a combination of multiple factors. So I'm not optimistic about MCP will change everything. There's still a long way to go to figure out how to properly utilize LLM and find the product market fit. Mature companies like Google, Amazon, Microsoft are trying to provide LLM-based enhancement to existing large user base like AI search, AI overview, Copilot, etc. New players like OpenAI, Anthropic are moving fast and trying to disrupt the market. And with their powerful LLM models, it's possible. Sometimes they have better models compared with the mature companies. I'm optimistic with this dynamic collaboration and competition in the market. I will live to see AI being adopted widely in the form of agent or other things that I can't imagine yet. However, my prediction is that MCP will be a small part of it, or maybe a small milestone on this path. I'm happy to be wrong though. I could be wrong if the MCP ecosystem focused sharp on trying to solve real user problems, result in some killer applications, and then force the whole industry, the whole market to adopt. I'm at least sure that MCP ecosystem won't be something like ETH or meme coins. AI can do much more than just a distributed ledger. Alright, that's all my take. It's mixed, leaning towards positive. So if you like my video, please subscribe, like, and comment. See you next time.